Hey, it's Dr. Micah here. Today's episode is going to be very special because I'm going to be sharing my own personal battle with arthritis. Arthritis is something that I've been battling for over a decade now, almost 2 decades, and I had it at a very, very young age. So we're going to talk about what diagnoses I've had, how I got through them, what medications were offered, what medications I've taken, and also how I essentially reversed my disease with integrative medicine and diet changes. So it all started back when I was in high school. I was severely overweight. So my arthritis really started when I was really young. I think I was 17 years old, around 2003, 2004. I wanted to lose weight, I wanted to get stronger, and I actually played on my high school football team. I was not a starter, I was a lineman. You can't imagine, I'm short, I'm only 5'5", 5'4". So I went on the very popular diet back then. It was not the keto diet, but it was something very similar. It was called the Atkins diet. And I was eating around like 150 grams to 200 grams of protein a day. And I did achieve my goal. I lost a lot of weight. I actually lost around 20 or 30 pounds on that diet. And I got stronger at the same time. I went to the gym, I kept lifting weights, I got stronger. But this actually caught up to me. The protein that I was eating was from like meat, was from steak, was from protein powder, dairy, milk. I was overloading my body. And I overdid it with the protein. One day during high school, I woke up in the middle of the night with a severe big toe pain. I can still remember that pain. It was so severe. That pain will make any grown man cry. It was so painful. And it felt like someone took a piece of hammer and just slammed it against my big toe. I woke up at like 4 a.m. I told my dad what happened. My dad was a family physician at the time. He says, "This sounds like gout." He took my blood test, drew my blood at home, shipped it off to the lab, and my uric acid was very high when I came back. It was around 12 or 13. I went to school that day and I was limping, and I was like, what is wrong with me? This is not normal. I was diagnosed with gout at the age of 17, and gout, for those of you that don't know, it's not an autoimmune disease, but it is a type of arthritis. Has to do with uric acid levels in the body. So no, you don't have to have high uric acid levels to get gout, but mine's correlated with high uric acid levels. And it came from my diet. I went to college and I lived your typical college life. I hanged out with friends, I drank alcohol. I didn't stick to a really healthy diet either at that time, so I would constantly flare with gout flares. I would get it every couple months after I drank alcohol sometimes. It was not fun, and I actually stopped hanging out with friends at one point. I didn't hang out with friends as much. I would go home early from parties because I didn't want to flare, and I noticed a lack of sleep made me flare. Eating processed food made me flare as well. It was not the best experience with all these flares at that time. You can imagine being 17 and 22 years old, flaring with arthritis. People are looking at you like, what is wrong with you, man? You're like acting like you're really old, when in fact you're really young. And for those of you that have arthritis and have a chronic illness, you can probably relate to me being at a younger age and having this invisible illness that people don't really understand. So over time, after college, I did my post-bac. I figured I wanted to go to possibly medical school. So I graduated as a business major. And then I moved on to San Francisco to pursue my science education. And at that time, it was 2 years over in San Francisco, my arthritis actually started changing. I started getting pains in places where it didn't make sense, and it was not consistent with my gout flares. I was starting to get pain in my hands, my knees, my TMJs. And I remember there was a 2-week period when I actually couldn't go to school anymore. I started getting recurrent fevers. I was laying in bed. I was actually becoming depressed at that time. I actually had to quit my chemistry course because I just couldn't go to school. I couldn't take tests This was before the era of virtual classes. And the pain was so painful with these fevers. My foot would throb while in bed. I've had these before, but this was like really extreme to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed. And when I would get out of bed, I was mainly going to the refrigerator to get food, or I would go to the bathroom. Even if I sat down, it would throb over and over again. And I reached out to my dad at that time and told him like, hey, this is like getting really bad. And he said, you know what, it's time to probably go on your gout medications now. And during college, I wouldn't let him know. I wouldn't tell him that I kept flaring. It was something that I just dealt with. I took, indomethacin. I didn't have to take too much, but it did help. I went on allopurinol to control my uric acid levels. And it did help. It did control my flares more, luckily. But when you're in your 20s, you want to live like your friends. You want to hang out with your friends. So it's very hard to have a chronic illness in your 20s, your teens, and even when you're younger than that, or even at any age, it's really hard. I eventually got accepted to medical school. My pains persisted. It continued, which again, didn't make any sense. I was taking my medications, my uric acids were very controlled, and my arthritis will flare more and more. I started getting pain in my TMJs, all the way down to my feet. The bottom of my feet would burn. I would get morning stiffness. I will get swollen. And again, it didn't make any sense. I took my meds consistently. So I was like, this is not gout anymore. This is something else. And as a med student, I learned about all these diseases, but I still couldn't figure myself out. I went to 2 different rheumatologists in Chicago where I did medical school. I went to a community doctor and I went to an academic doctor at Rush University, and they couldn't give me answers. The first doctor, I got a bunch of labs, all my antibodies were negative, and my inflammation numbers were high. My ESR, or sedimentation rate, was high, and my CRP, or C-reactive protein, was high. So my rheumatologist was like, you have gout definitely, but you probably have something else, and I can't give you an answer right now. So that was very frustrating, but being a rheumatologist now, I understand what she was thinking about. So I went to get a second opinion at the university. This other rheumatologist still couldn't figure me out as well. Gave me a similar answer. It's like, you have something else going on. We can't really give you another diagnosis besides gout at this time. And during this whole time, no one talked to me about diet or lifestyle or integrative medicine, because doctors aren't trained in that. I've had this pain for I had gout at 17. This is probably around 27, 28 years old now, 29 years old. And again, no real answers as to what else I can do for my arthritis and what type of other arthritis I'm having. Again, in medical school, I would hang out with friends, but I would go home early. I wouldn't be able to, have fun with them as much as I would like to. And when I did have fun with them, when I went out, when I partied with them, I would pray that I wouldn't get pain or flares the next day. What is going on here? I don't think I can make it to my 30s without being on a wheelchair or a cane, because it was that debilitating. My colleagues, my friends, and my attendings would see me limp to the hospital, to the clinic sometimes, because the pain was so bad. When the pain was on my TMJs, I wouldn't really be able to open my mouth really. I would eat yogurt, drink water, eat some oatmeal. My diet during medical school, standard American diet, where I would eat a lot of processed food, a lot of frozen food, because that was the quickest, most accessible food. And in the area where I went to medical school, and there wasn't really healthy food choices. So there was a street full of fast food. Literally, you go Jack in the Box and it's Taco Bell right after another. And that's what we would eat as med students, or at least I would eat that. We'd go to Walmart for our grocery runs, and there I would eat like Lean Pockets, frozen food. So that didn't really help with my pain either. Man, it was something else. So during residency, I got in touch with my rheumatology department there. I went to residency at Loma Linda University, where I did my residency and my fellowship. So I did my whole postgraduate training there. And At Loma Linda University, I reached out to the rheumatology department and they actually ultrasounded me there and they found something called enthesitis. So they found abnormal signals and on the ultrasound where the tendon connects to the bone, and that's called entheses, but when that's inflamed, that's called enthesitis. And with this ultrasound finding with your elevated inflammatory markers, we think you actually have spondyloarthritis. And I'm like, I've learned what spondyloarthritis is. I know what ankylosing spondylitis is. I don't have the back pain in ankylosing spondylitis. So how is this possible? Well, there's different variations of it. You have the peripheral kind, so the kind that doesn't attack the low back, but you've had all these pains, inflammatory arthritis from TMJs all the way down to your feet. And I have had pain, with my Achilles tendon, my knees. This is probably peripheral spondyloarthritis. I think they ultrasounded my knee, but also my elbow as well. And they actually also dropped fluid from my ankle. They took a needle and they aspirated, or they got out fluid from my ankle because it was swollen also. And what they found were inflammatory cells there, CPPD crystals, which you can find in chronic inflammation. Now, I actually have 3 diagnoses. I have gout, I was diagnosed pseudo-gout, and I was also diagnosed spondyloarthritis. And spondyloarthritis is the main autoimmune disease I have, and gout is the other arthritis I have. This was a big relief for me because I finally have a diagnosis. So I was offered typical medications for rheumatoid arthritis and spondyloarthritis patients, methotrexate or Plaquenil. I actually refused both of them. The reason why I refused to take these medications was because I didn't want to go on meds my whole life. That wasn't the path I wanted to go down on. I thought there was another way out, but I didn't know what it was. I thought there was a pattern with the food I was eating, but I didn't know what pattern it was. And I really wanted to learn about nutrition in medical school, but sadly, the nutrition during medical school was not very practical. And of course, you don't learn anything about anti-inflammatory diets. Yeah, I went on for 2 years after diagnosis without medications. Yes, I would flare. I would flare every couple months, sometimes every month. And that was my decision. I told myself, if I start getting x-ray damages, then yes, I will start going on medications. But I was hopeful that there was another way out. And of course, my doctor, my attendings, my rheumatologist, I don't think they truly agreed with my decision, but I was the patient, that was my decision. So I don't think I ate any anti-inflammatory foods at the time. Of course, I thought I was eating healthy at that time. I was eating vegetables, I was eating fruits, but I was also eating my processed food as well. I was eating processed meats. So I was also barbecuing at the time and I enjoyed my food so much. But I was taking my gout meds at the same time as well. During my 3rd year of my internal medicine residency, my wife, Dr. Melissa Mandala, who I went to residency with, she did family medicine. She discovered what lifestyle medicine was at the time because we had that training at Loma Linda University, but I didn't do that training. She had that extra training at that time. So she introduced a plant-based diet to me for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, what is this food? This does not taste that good. Where's the meat? Where's the seafood? I didn't really enjoy the food, but I tried it. This was during Thanksgiving of 2017. So that was my first exposure to a plant-based diet. I think in April of 2018, we went over to Guam for a month-long medical rotation at the Seventh-day Adventist clinic there that was affiliated with Loma Linda University. Everyone at that clinic was on a vegetarian diet because Seventh-day Adventists, they eat a vegetarian diet. I'm like, okay, well, I can try this food. It tastes okay, it tastes pretty good. I flared less at the time, but I still flared. Maybe it was the humidity, it could have been the food, I don't know. But it was at the same time I read Dr. Greger's How Not to Die book, just to learn more about the plant-based diet. And then when I came back from Guam, I watched Forks Over Knives, the documentary, and then I said, you know what? Let's try this plant-based diet thing out. Seriously, there are so many testimonials on the Forks Over Knives documentary that patients were getting better with various diseases. Maybe my disease will get better, who knows? So I was hopeful. So I really went on a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet for a number of months. I remember clearly I was making soup for myself with tofu, green onions, miso soup, miso paste in the soup, and mushrooms. I would drink that like every couple of days at least. I was eating salads. I was not eating more meats, no seafood, no processed food at all, no chips, no crackers. I was eating a lot of greens, a lot of fruits. I was eating grains. I was also eating beans at that time. And I wasn't eating out. And when I did eat out with my family, I was eating vegetables. At that time, I was very careful of minimizing my oil, my salt, and my refined sugar intake. Weeks went by, months went by without any pain. I'm like, what is this? There's no stiffness, there's no pain here. I'm like, is this real? Is this all in my head? So it was like at the 3-month mark, I'm like, I haven't had flares for 3 months now. And there were periods of time where I actually didn't get pain for 3 months during my battle with arthritis. So I'm like, maybe this is just a fluke. It was a pattern. So I went to my rheumatologist, my boss at that time, and I'm like, can you get labs for me? I haven't had pain for 3 months. I might be fixed in a way. So he got labs on me, and my C-reactive protein, to my surprise, went negative. My ESR was better, but still high. My C-reactive protein went negative, and I was shocked. I'm like, wow, maybe this is real. Maybe my arthritis is gone. Maybe it's in remission without medications. I've been offered methotrexate, Plaquenil this whole time, and I refused it. Maybe this is the prayer that I've been asking for. And 4 months go by, 5 months go by, 6 months go by, a year goes by. No flares, no pain, and I've been eating a pretty good whole food plant-based diet. I think what has happened has been quite a miracle. You don't learn about this stuff in medical school. I didn't learn about it. It's been 5 years since I started my plant-based journey. Today, I would say 99% of the time, I try to eat a whole food plant-based diet as much as I can. Every now and then, I'll eat some fish, some seafood. I don't eat meat. Still, I avoid dairy as much as I can. And it's been a blessing. As far as flares are concerned, I flare once in a while, but the flares last only a day. Every now and then, I will take anti-inflammatory supplements, including turmeric, some omega-3 fatty acids. I definitely love my vitamin D as well. I'm very careful with my diet still, but you know that life happens. You go out with family, you go out with friends. I drink alcohol every once in a while, not that often, maybe once every couple months. And I'm very careful of how I approach things. And I'm doing really well today. Like I said, no flares, no stiffness, no changes on x-rays. And because of my journey with my arthritis and my significant improvement with it, I have pursued more learning, more higher level of learning beyond just rheumatology. I graduated from my rheumatology fellowship in 2020. I got my lifestyle medicine certificate in 2019. The lifestyle medicine through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, I learned more about the whole food plant-based diet, sleep, exercise, stress reduction, avoiding risky substances. But I felt like that wasn't enough for me. When I first did the whole food plant-based diet and I got better and I went to remission, I thought this is the answer for everybody. I'm probably gonna be out of business when I graduate if I tell everyone this. And then, so I thought that was a magic cure for everybody. But then over time, I learned that it doesn't fix everybody. A lot of people can improve on it, but it doesn't mean that everyone will go to remission on it. I personally have had patients who went to remission on a whole food plant-based diet, but there are patients who come to me who have done a lot of different forms of plant-based diets, including a very clean whole food plant-based diet that haven't improved as much as they would. So that encouraged me to pursue other forms of education. So I did my 2-year fellowship that I completed at the University of Arizona's Integrative Medicine Fellowship with Andrew Weil. And I also got my certificate, or I got certified in functional medicine. So now I have these 3 different avenues of helping people. So lifestyle medicine is the foundation to integrative medicine and functional medicine. They both talk about diet and all these different things. I have more tools in the toolbox to helping patients because it's not just about diet. It's not just about stress reduction, exercise, or sleep. That's really important, but sometimes patients need more than that. So I am so grateful for the journey I'm on. I used to think my disease was a curse. I actually think it's a blessing now. I couldn't have done it without my wife, my family, God, and the support of the people around me. I actually believed in me, that supported me through this as well. People that have been with me from the very beginning know the pain that I've been through. You know, I lost friends over my disease because I couldn't hang out with them. You know, people just leave over time if you don't see them. So I'm very thankful for the friends that have stuck with me through medical school, through my disease. Diet-wise, you know, I always say the foundation is fruits and vegetables. There are variations of this diet that have healed patients, that have gotten patients better. I believe that patients have the ability to heal their chronic illnesses, whether it's arthritis, lupus, or other chronic illnesses. I've seen a lot of good changes in my patients. Miracles happen that I didn't expect. This has been a blessing. That's why I'm on social media, because I am here to share my journey, to share the fact that your body can heal itself. I still use medications in my office, in my clinic, and I balance that out with integrative medicine. So integrative medicine is using both medications and alternative medicine, whether it be herbs, supplements, mind-body medicine, or other modalities out there. My patients can get better, you can get better, your body can heal itself, you can heal yourself naturally, you can use medications, you can always come off medications potentially. And there are doctors out there just like me who have been through this personally that are helping patients out every day. And I hope my story will inspire you to go on your journey for self-discovery, to understand the fact that this disease that you have isn't necessarily a curse. It may seem like a curse now, but when you do get better and when you do battle and overcome this illness that you're experiencing, you can also be an inspiration for other people. So thank you so much for listening to my story. If you want to learn more about me, if you want to learn more evidence-based approaches to chronic illnesses, autoimmune disease, and arthritis, I encourage you to subscribe to me. Thank you so much for your support. And I also encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter where I put out tips and education out every week. Thank you so much for listening.